people.
Non-white people.
Non-white people.
We're not sure how to get through to these people.
We're not sure how to get through to these people
who have never experienced police brutality.
who have never experienced police brutality
Because they don't understand why the police are not our friends.
why the police are not our friends.
And it's very ostracizing
And it's very ostracizing
to most of the communities in Philly.
to most of the communities in Philly.
So we need your help.
So we need your help.
And why are you here?
I'm here
I'm here
because I work as a trauma counselor
because I work as a trauma counselor
in a dual diagnosis clinic
in a dual diagnosis clinic
for victims of physical and sexual violence.
for victims of physical and sexual violence.
They are by far
They are by far
the most stigmatized and ignored
stigmatized and ignored
population I've ever encountered in my life.
population I've ever encountered in my life.
They are so beat down
They are so beat down
by the way this society runs,
by the way society runs,
and in a lot of ways they are more
and in a lot of ways they are more
important in my view
important in my view
than 75% of the topics
than 75% of the topics
the 99% talk about.
the 99% talk about.
They are silenced,
They are silenced,
they are ignored,
they are ignored,
and they're very foreign to our process.
they are very foreign to our process.
So I am trying to get them involved.
So I'm trying to get them involved.
I am also trying to learn more,
I'm also trying to learn more,
despite being a survivor and a female,
despite being a survivor and a female,
how I can challenge my own privilege as a person who's employed,
how I can challenge my own privilege as a person who's employed,
and a person who has a home,
and a person who has a home,
and a person who has a very strong community.
and a person who has a very strong community.
So I'm here to learn a lot more
So I'm here to learn a lot more
and to talk to people about my clients
and to talk to people about my
and
clients
my community's experiences.
and my community's experiences.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Paula, who wants to do it? You want to go next? Okay. Just say your name.
My name is Karen,
My name is Karen.
and I started street activities
And
I started street activities
in Berkeley in 1966
in Berkeley in 1966
with SDS,
with SDS,
the Married Pranksters,
the Married Pranksters,
and the Black Panthers.
and the Black Panthers.
Somehow I could sense that this action
Somehow I can sense that this action
would be different.
would be different.
The first Occupy Wall Street date was September 17th.
The first Occupy Wall Street date was September 17th.
The night before,
I
joined Melanie of Code Pink
joined Melanie of Code Pink
to do a little pre-event on Wall Street.
to do a little pre-event on Wall Street.
There were only a few of us,
There were only a few of us,
including Yvonne, who fully adored as Marie Antoinette,
including Yvonne, who faithfully adored as Marie Antoinette,
and Josh, who was organizing Twitter responses.
and Josh, who was organizing Twitter responses.
As part of Marie's entourage,
As part of Marie's entourage,
Mel and I decorated cupcakes
Mel and I decorated cupcakes
to offer to the Wall Street crowd and assorted tourists.
to offer to the Wall Street crowd and assorted tourists.
As people greedily reached for them,
As people greedily reached for them,
we would say, "Are you rich?
"Are you rich?
If not, you can't have it.
If not, you can't have any.
You have to wait for a millionaire
You have to wait for a millionaire
to take one,
to take one,
and you can follow that person
and you can follow that person
and try to catch the crumbs."
and try to catch the crumbs.
People were at first stunned,
People were at first stunned,
then they began to grin.
then they began to grin. Wall Street people
slicked away, and the tourists applauded.
The
police officers on duty that day, before the barricades were erected, were charming and friendly. They were in on the joke. The crowds were fluid. And everyone was good-natured or at least civil. What struck me that Friday was this action is going to take. People will relate to this. And understand they are part of the 99%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone on the outside.
Come in.
We'll make room. It's really warmer here. We want to hear your stories. So if you can walk around this way, we can make a little path. We can have more people sit down here. Okay, I'm going to ask my friend. Who's been here since the first group? To tell his story.
I am from Elizabeth, New Jersey. Which is ground zero. For deindustrialization. And the drug war. In the 1990s, my next door neighbor had a younger brother who was something of a little terror. He was abusive towards his girlfriends. Generally violent and disrespectful. And I kind of viewed him as a sort of demonic spirit. At the time, I didn't take the time to attempt to empathize with his condition. I viewed him as a problem I'd rather not have in sight. The problem with my thinking is that it was reproduced in the larger culture. Because his teachers and his elders in the community and the beat cops seem to view him in the same light. It seemed as if not one of us had ever looked him in the eyes and contemplated the humanity that lie within. Or even thought to themselves that his actions and behaviors had an origin outside of him, in the institutions that raised him. When I came to Zuccotti Park, I was awestruck by the amount of times per hour that I got to look someone else in the eyes and communicate with them and learn about them and come to a better understanding of their condition. Years later, I found out when I was talking to my old neighbors that the teenager in question was killed in Iraq. Serving in our country's army. He died fighting a war that I opposed. A total waste of any potential. His problems go uninvestigated, unquestioned, and unaddressed. I don't want my sons and daughters dying in a foreign land,
dying in a foreign land,
under the pretense of bringing liberation,
under the pretense of bringing liberation,
to people that didn't ask for it,
to people that didn't ask for it,
and bleed and suffer the same way that we do.
and bleed and suffer the same way that we do.
I would prefer instead
I would prefer instead
that our sons and daughters
that our sons and daughters
were raised and educated
were raised and educated
to fight peacefully
to fight peacefully
to liberate this land.
to liberate this land.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Roger.
Roger.
This is Roger. I just want to say,
And I just want to say,
since the very first time I came here,
since the very first time I came here,
Roger's been a part of the group.
Roger's been a part of the group,
And he's always been quiet,
and he's always been quiet,
but had an amazing presence.
but had this amazing presence,
And I'm so moved by your story.
and I'm so moved by your story.
Thank you. Who else would like to share? Where's Paula? Is Paula here?
Is Paula here?
Paula's here.
Do you want to share your story?
I didn't bring my
Just share
story.
it from your heart.
All right. Hi, I'm Paula.
Hi, I'm Paula,
And I'm living in Ducati Park.
and I'm living in Zuccotti Park.
I believe in occupying,
I believe in occupying,
and I believe in the movement that has grown out of people's willingness
and I believe in the movement that has grown out of people's willingness
to put their bodies here and not leave.
to put their bodies here and not leave.
I welcome as a occupier
I welcome as an occupier
every person who wants to be here.
every person who wants to be here.
I have been involved in many conversations
I have been involved in many conversations
about who should be here and who should not be here.
about who should be here and who should not be
There
here.
are no liabilities to this movement.
There are no liabilities to this movement.
I just had a conversation with a young man in one of the tents
I just had a conversation with a young man in one of the tents
who told me that he does love missions every night.
who told me that he does love missions every night.
So there is violence here. There is no doubt.
So there is violence here, there is no doubt.
There are homeless people here who should be here because there are public services available to homeless people.
There are homeless people here who should be here because there are public services available to homeless people.
There is sexual violence against women here.
There is conflict and there is sexual violence against women here.
It is very disheartening.
It is very disheartening.
But then there's Zeke,
But then there's Zeke,
who does his love missions every night.
who does his love missions every
And
night.
there are hundreds of Zekes and everybody else here
And there are hundreds of Zekes and everybody else here
who really, really are transforming
really are transforming
their lives and our lives.
their lives and our lives.
And I welcome any women and men,
And I welcome any women and men,
primarily women,
primarily women,
who really want to spend a night here
who really want to spend the night
and
here
haven't found their way to do that.
and haven't found their way to do that.
Come find me.
Come find me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Her name is
I'm
Paula.
Paula.
Okay, for those of you who just got here,
For those of you who just got here,
welcome.
welcome.
This is a story group.
This is a story group.
My name is Eve.
My name is Eve.
We've been doing this for a month.
We've been doing this for a month.
People come and tell their stories
People come and tell their stories
about what brought them to the park
about what brought them to the park
and what they dream.
and what they dream.
The group is called Ambiguous Upsparkles.
Group is called Ambiguous Upsparkles.
This is an Upsparkle.
This is an
It
Upsparkle.
means you like something.
It means you like something.
If you want to tell your story,
If you want to tell your story,
you just have to raise your hand.
you just have to raise your hand.
It's really important
It's really important
that you be specific,
that you be specific,
personal,
personal,
weird,
weird,
not what we expect.
not what we expect.
Say something that will surprise us
Say something that will surprise
or
us
disturb us
or disturb us
or make us excited,
or make us excited,
but something.
but something.
So who wants to go next?
So who wants to go next?
My name is Allison.
My name is Allison.